Okay, this video is to demonstrate how to hopefully repair or address a problem with the Brennan B2 if the disk drive has gone faulty. It only works for one specific type of hard drive fault. That is where you power the B2 on, but the hard disk does not power up. There are various faults, but this particular problem sometimes can be addressed with this technique that I'll show you here. Now, I've got here a box which I'm calling my Brennan B2 Mark II because I need to show you reasonably what is happening here. First of all, before I do anything, I'll just show you. If you imagine you're looking down inside your Brennan, this is the hard drive here, and what happens is when you power the Brennan up, this disk drive starts to spin and rotate up to a few thousand revs per minute. Now what happens is sometimes if the disk drive develops a fault, a particular type of fault, when the disk comes to rest at a certain point where this arrow that I've stuck onto the spindle of the disk is pointing down. If one of the start windings in the motor develops a fault, when you switch the Brennan back on, the motor will not is not able to start the disk drive again. The principle involved that I'm going to show here is if you can rotate the disk even by something like 45 degrees, so the disk is has moved in relation to the windings in the motor, the disk drive will may in fact power up again. The disk will then behave normally while it's powered up. I should emphasize at this point that if this technique does work, you're better to leave the disk powered up, the Brennan that is powered up, until you've got a full backup, because when you power the Brennan down, you've always got a chance that this disk will come to rest back at the point where the faulty motor windings are. As long as the disk's spinning at speed, it'll just keep working. If you do have to power the unit down and it doesn't restart, you can repeat the technique that I'll show you here. So to get the motor to restart. Okay, so if you hold the Brennan horizontally, as I'm doing here, and as you can see, I've got the arrow pointing down here on this marker. So what I'll do is I'll show you the technique now, which is where you rapidly twist the Brennan one direction, and then you slowly bring it back again. So I'll just repeat that so that you rotate quickly about the axis of the hard drive. What you see now is inside the drive, this arrow has now moved to almost 90 degrees. Now, if you take the Brennan and power it back up again and connect all your leads to it, you should, if you hear the hard drive powering up, then you're back to a happy state where you will be able to back up your the music on the hard drive onto an external hard disk or through NAS onto your local PC. So it's worth trying this. If it doesn't power up the first time you try this, it's worth trying it again. It doesn't cause any further damage and the situation won't get any worse. But if I repeat that, I'll just move this back. It doesn't work. It doesn't work as effectively because I'm working at an extended length with my arms just so I can film this. But again, if I just rotate this quickly, do that twice, then you'll see the arrow again is about 45 degrees, which would be sufficient to help the motor or allow the motor to start up. So as I say, I've made this box, this artificial box. You wouldn't be able to see the disk moving, obviously, because it's inside the Brennan. And even with even if you were to open up the Brennan, this disk drive is fully sealed with a lid on it, so you can't see the effect of what you're doing. That's why it's worth trying this 2, 3, maybe 4 times. The important thing is to know that you've got the disk drive powered up. If you put your ear on top of the Brennan while you're and put the power on, for the first 2, 3, 4 seconds, you'll hear a series of loud whirring and clickings. Then for the next 15 seconds approximately, you should hear a much quieter whirring and a series of much quieter clicking noises. That's the hard drive powering up. The first loud clicks are the CD drive powering up for the 2 to 4 seconds after power on. The second set of much quieter clickings is the hard drive powering up. If you hear the hard drive the clicking noises, those quieter clicks, then you're back to a happy state where you can then do your backup. If you don't hear those clicks, try the technique 2 or 3 times, as I've said, and see if the hard drive won't power up. As I say, it's only for one type of fault. Hopefully this is what you have got, Mark, and will hopefully get you to a happier place, get your music collection back onto an external hard drive. Okay, so good luck, and we'll see how you get on. Okay, bye for now.